Yes, let's have a round of applause for Captain Elisabel. Thank you for being with us. Such pleasure to share this stage. Yes, same here. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being with us. We're going to talk about many things, and including things that we haven't mentioned today, even though we have covered a great deal of things. Elisabel, she is the chief of the organic unit of the judicial police of Guardia Civil police force. We're going to discover what she does, her background, and we're going to see a new face of cybersecurity. Let's start from the beginning. How did you get to work at this unit? Well, I came to Leon recently after I was promoted as captain, and I joined the organic unit of judicial police after the specialization course that we do at Guardia Civil. So basically through my knowledge and thanks to my promotion. And what do you enjoy the most about your job? Well, it depends on the unit and the position that I hold at any given time. I've been at Guardia Civil police force for 30 years and I've done a great variety of things. Since I work for a research unit now in investigation, what I love the most is investigating crime. But in the unit I work, we not only investigate telematic or remote crimes, but also other types of crimes against people, against property, and against human trafficking, and always trying to see how to clarify crimes and get to the criminals is probably the most satisfactory thing about my job. Yes, and also the most complicated, isn't it? Yes, it is complicated because criminals today know how ways of investigation, the methods we use, and they're always innovating, so we have to innovate as well, and every day it becomes harder and harder to investigate and to obtain positive results, obviously. Would you say that this is one of the largest challenges that you have, specifically when we talk about online crime? Yes, well, because the rest of crime are kind of ABC crimes. So homicide involves certain things, sexual harassment or aggression involves certain things, but online crimes are constantly evolving. So you need specialized units and highly trained people who are able of knowing what line of investigation you should follow. Then you have to decide what team within those we have in Guardia Civil is going to be taking the investigation. It is not the same dealing with fraud or criminal groups or crypto coins and currency. So you have to see what it entails, whether the investigation is complex or otherwise, whether there might be criminal groups behind, how the investigation is going to take place, and also be swift in your investigation, because particularly when we talk about fraud or crimes against property where there are large amounts of money at stake, that money normally disappears overnight, so you have to be agile. Yes, and so many issues and so many topics. I suppose you have to continue training constantly. Yes, our training is constant in all spaces because crimes are always changing. There are always new things. Legislation also changes, so our training is constant. But when we're dealing with such specific things, still more so, and we don't have special groups only at the UCO, or the commander group, and the new teams that have just joined us, but we also have people specialized by area, child pornography, extortion, intellectual property, because you have to be very well trained, and training has to be constant. Yes, and you have to know and put yourself at the other side and in the criminal's shoes to know what might be the next stage. Yes. It is complicated, but that's what investigation is all about. That's our job. They commit crime and we try to avoid it. We always try to go be one step ahead of them. It is not always something that we achieve, but we have to take into account that we have people fully devoted to investigating crime. So at the end of the day, we normally do have good results. Specialization is important. Yes, very much so. Specialization, not just the one provided by Guardia Civil, but also the people being part of these teams already are specialized. They are highly trained, they are engineers, they have a master's degree, they have training that they not only pursue at Guardia Civil, but also through other entities where we can participate with, not only nationally but also internationally. We've been part of expert panels, and that helps a lot in exchange of information when we talk about and we work with other police forces. Sometimes we have crimes that are not happening in Spain, but they are happening elsewhere, and now we have an alert of what might be coming our way. So training is fundamental and it's constant. By the way, Elisabel, 30 years at Guardia Civil, did you always want to, or did you always know that you wanted to be here? Yes, I'm fully vocational. I always wanted to be a police woman since I was a child. I didn't tell the difference between police and Guardia Civil. I come from a small town in Castilla, and we had Guardia Civil forces there, and so that's why that was closer to me. I truly believe in what I do. I have spent 30 years, but every day I wake up with the same energy and passion for what I do, and you have to be passionate about what you do, about your job. I'm very passionate from day one, and I know that it will continue to be so until my last day at Guardia Civil. It is highly vocational then, isn't it? Yes, it is vocational because this is not your standard job. People often ignore that we, very often, particularly the unit I belong to, this is an investigation unit for severe crime, homicide, killings, murders, crimes against property. Sometimes we see the worst side of society, and we need to be sympathetic enough, and we have to keep our cool to be able to deal with criminals. And you have to go home in the knowledge that you have to try to do your best, and that you are here because it is a vocational thing, and this is what you have to do. But I am really happy about the job that I do, and every time I come back home knowing that I took the right decision, I am very satisfied. There are many similarities between cybersecurity, which at the end of the day is about helping, and your job, which is, well, a public service. Yes, we are a public service in any field. We don't mind whether we're dealing with cybernetic crimes or crimes against people, which sometimes come hand in hand, not only just property. So it is just pure investigation and service, citizen service, 100%. What are the main digital crimes that you are dealing with at the moment? Well, we, at the organic unit of judicial police, because above us we have the UCO, which deal with larger crimes which might go over Spain's borders. What we do have is normally fraud that might affect people's property, also crimes related to the people themselves, so extortion, crimes related to women, I'm referring to gender-based violence, cyberbullying, sharing images, pictures and footage of your ex-partner, for instance. But fundamentally, the most of the cases are just fraud-based, so a wide range of fraud with the only aim of doing damage to a given individual. In most of the cases, people don't even know that they are being subject to fraud, because we are really accustomed today to doing everything just using our telephone or our tablets, and we are accustomed to trusting most often. Sometimes we feel, or we think, that our bank is writing to us, saying that somebody might be using our details, so we think that we are actually talking really to a bank, and we provide them with our data, or we are buying something, we're doing shopping on the internet, on a second-hand website, and they ask for our personal details, our passport number, our identity card number, and we provide those details, which are then used by cyber criminals to buy certain goods, such as high-end mobile devices or holidays. And at the end of the day, who pays for that is the person whose details were exposed or given. And then there are another series of crimes. Whenever we think we're going to go to an ideal place on holiday, and we hire or rent accommodation with a very good price, or the computer we really want has a very low price, and we think it's just such a good opportunity, but really we are being taken for a ride, and it is just a fraud. Or sometimes we might get a telephone from a false technician saying that they saw that our system might be affected, and they asked us to download and install to our computers certain software. They asked for our passwords, our login details, and they steal then these details. And these are things that people sometimes take some time to realize that they were submitted or victims of these sort of crimes. And then we have the crimes that use people's goodwill. They ask for your help. You believe that it is necessary for someone who's ill, for a child who needs a treatment. We also have a fraud involving people who believe that they have met their other half. They fall in love. They said, "I love you, but I do need some money to come and see you. Please give me." And people start giving money to them. So I'm just speaking about the most general kind of crime that we encounter every single day in our job. People who are also offered the possibility to invest in certain products. They say that they will get very quick profitability, and so you start investing, and when you want to recover your money, they keep asking you for more, and then you just enter in that well. We are very naive sometimes on the internet. Yes, we are. We are naive. Sometimes we are fooled, thinking that we are talking with a real bank, a real person, someone who says that they love us, but then we realize that they are deceiving us. And then criminals are also very skillful, very arty. They start leading you in. They say, "Look, I need this much money because I have this issue, this other problem." When they say that you are going to receive a prize, but then you have to pay to the inland revenue, until you then realize that you've been taken for a ride. And then there are criminals who do take advantage of people's needs. When you are going to ask in these times where you can easily lose your job, you ask for some money to try and borrow money, but they said they can lend you that money, but then you have to start giving some amount of money in order to open the file, for instance. So you start giving, and you end up doing the opposite. You end up giving money to those that you should be borrowing from. So these are crimes against the people and against property. We also have more delicate crimes, such as, for example, child pornography, extortions, people who watch adult content because they want, because they like it at home, and then they receive a message by email saying, "We have recorded you doing this, and give us that much money if you want to avoid this to be from being sent to your family." And then gender-based violence. Women, after they have finished their relationship, and although they do not want to continue with their ex-partner, they are submitted to stalking through different platforms, social media, with insults, with threats. We have even detected in some occasions that they are spied on. They know where they are after they have had a wonderful relationship, and then there are some intimate pictures, for instance, or footage. Then that footage, sometimes through different networks, they might end up being shared among the family or friends or colleagues. So here we're not just talking about crimes against people or property, but really against your privacy and your person. You cannot get your money back, but giving back people's privacy or intimacy is really, really difficult and very delicate, yes. What advice do you give these people when they resort to you to avoid being the victims of this type of threat? Yes, when they come to us, it's because they've already fallen for it. Yes, that is true. However, I must say that at Guardia Civil and other police forces, I know we are not only here to help once the crime has been committed, but rather we are also here to provide advice and to help and assist before that crime is committed. We have a hotline operational 24/7, and we are always happy to attend to the citizens' needs. And in this regard, we have just created the @team, Equipos Arroba. They have been put in place and put together in the month of October, whereby they are providing a series of email addresses and telephone numbers, so that any businessmen or women who suspects that they may be the victim of a crime, they shouldn't hesitate in calling us. We are here to help. If it's true that there is a crime, then we are going to start working on it. We're going to try and solve the problem as soon as possible. And just by way of general advice, please let's steer clear of things that are far too easy, far too cheap, or far too comfortable to be true, because possibly it is going to be a fraud. We must avoid giving away our details, our passwords, or any way of access. And whenever someone asks for money from us, when they say there is a problem, try it again. Just steer clear. Go away, stop, breathe in, think, and call the police forces. Ask for advice. This is my advice. I know for a fact that you do a great job trying to help people, and that you're always on the ball. Yes, you talked about claims, because the percentage of fraud is increasing year on year, but I am sure we don't know a lot, because there aren't that many claims. Yes, it is important to report it, because sometimes you are not the only victim of a given crime. There are criminal groups that launch their email massively. You might think that you're the only one, but chances are you're not. And it is good to know how those criminals got to you, because very often we will be able to reach, with a great deal of difficulty, of course, but we will make it. We can get to the origin, to the root of that crime, of that fraud. So you must go and report it. Sometimes people are scared, or they feel ashamed. They feel ashamed, particularly when we talk about extortion, where somebody is accustomed or likes to watch adult cinema, and they receive an email saying, we know what you're doing and we want money if you are to avoid that we share this with your friends and family. Or they threaten you because they say that they have intimate pictures of you. We are far too accustomed to these type of crimes. We are used to working with these things and with many other things, and we're here to help people. We are really discreet. That is our job. We want to give confidence to the people. They must come to us, so we call out to the people to come to us. We are going to help them, and they should not be scared of coming to see us and coming forward. Yes, privacy. Obviously, you are not going to get scared about anything and everything that you see or hear. Well, we could write a book, really, about the things we find, but that's just between the people claiming and ourselves. And what can we do, Elizabeth? Because sometimes, very often, we might get in the way of an investigation. What can we do to facilitate investigations? So you have to come forward as soon as possible. You should not manipulate the devices that you have. Facilitate those devices, whether it's a telephone or any other device. Give us that device so we can analyze it. If everything you did was through transfers, bank transfers, for instance, do record it. Do screenshots, recordings, everything you have, just bring it with you. And the sooner, the better. The more you put it off, the more difficult it will be for us to investigate, and the more chances the criminal will have to get away with it or escape the investigation. And when we talk about fraud, maybe the money will disappear. Or when we are talking about footage or similar things, the more they can be disseminated. So do come forward as soon as possible. do provide everything you have, and whenever you suspect, even you are not certain that you are being the victim of a crime, do come to us. Whenever we see strange things, something strange on our phone, maybe it gets warmed up really quickly, the battery is going off very quickly, just come to us. Maybe there is an explanation for it, and we do hope there is nothing, but if there is something, we're there to help. Yes, you have to be suspicious, don't you? Yes, we don't turn our back on anyone who just comes to ask because they are suspicious. Our main mission is prevention. And we hope we could only work on prevention and not investigation. Sometimes we need to investigate because the crime has been committed, but our main function is to prevent, help, avoid the damage, the crime. So please do not be scared, don't be put off to come forward, to come to your police forces, to the nearest police station, police, Guardia Civil, what have you, and you will find help. Being part of this forum, Mujeres Ciber, I would like to know your opinion about the role of women in police forces like yours, like Guardia Civil. What can I do? I'm a woman. The role of women at Guardia Civil and in police forces as a whole, in any sector indeed, is fundamental. We are equal, we have the same conditions, both men and women, and we can do a job fantastically well without any limitations or constraints and with the same quality as our male counterparts. At Guardia Civil, why does it draw your attention because I'm a woman? Well, because there aren't that very many still. But it's only because we've only joined recently, not because women don't want to be part of Guardia Civil. Women only became part of Guardia Civil in 1988. So we've only been around for a short while. However, in virtually all specialities at Guardia Civil, there are women. I think there is only one or two specialities where there are no women, and there are women commanders and captain. I have a responsibility. We have lieutenants, female lieutenants. Will we have female general? Well, possibly, after the time has come for them. There is no problem, and I do call on women to join us, particularly Guardia Civil. And what can you tell us if you are to invite them then? If you want to encourage them? Well, what can I say? I am somebody who's fully vocational. I love my job. I come back home satisfied about what I did every single day. Sometimes the work and the day is hard because of the things we have to do, we have to deal with. Because when we start an investigation, we know when we start, but we don't know when we're going to finish. We spend hours and hours. Sometimes we have to travel. Sometimes there is no time for rest. Most of the times they are very long hours. However, I can tell you, we do this with a passion, and we're happy because we're fully convinced of what we have to do. That is our job. What I take back home with me every single day is the knowledge that I did my job the best I could, that I managed to help somebody who came to our police office saying that they had a problem. And not only for online crime, when we are talking about complex crimes, for example, rape, and the victim holds your hand and says, thank you for being there, that makes it all worth it. My job is something fundamental. I've spent 30 years in the Guardia Civil. I have not regretted one single day, so I do call out to anyone who wants to serve the people to join the police forces, because I am sure they're going to be fully satisfied, just as I am. From your words, we can elicit that vocation. Yes, I am totally vocational. I'm the first one in my family. I don't come from a military or police force family. My dad was a bricklayer. I always wanted to be part of the police forces, and particularly Guardia Civil. I am absolutely proud of being a Guardia Civil officer. I am so proud of my colleagues, and particularly of being a woman leader, and to be an example for my colleagues. That's all I can say. An example for the whole police force. No doubt. Thank you. I think that with all the messages that you've conveyed and how well you explained yourself, well, I hope you have inspired many people, many girls and boys, not only to join the Guardia Civil, but also to have an interest in cybersecurity, because you also displayed some love for cybersecurity. And it is true that whenever you start, you can't go back. Yes, indeed. It does take you in, because whenever you find how crime works and how people are able to phony others, it is like a drug, really. But the problem is you have to have very specific knowledge, and you have to be highly trained and highly prepared. But it's also good fun. Oh yes, it is. As much, and the more you know, the more you want to know. Yes, obviously. Well, again, thank you so much. And I am sure that the people here in the venue and the people following us remotely, and the ones that will watch this talk recorded, are going to be inspired by you. Let's have a big round of applause for Elisabeth. Thank you.